produced for 2000.
2000, I think, yeah.
On Frinton Pier, yeah. Yeah, which is the Fab 500, which we compiled ourselves. And the bottom is the John Peel Summer of Love top chart, yeah.
Minutes into 1 o'clock. Here's a nice piece of music now. This will make you sit up straight. Oh, you try saying that with a mouthful of cornflakes. Sit up straight. Yes, I can say it. That's okay then. Right, back to the 1970s, this lovely ballad by Lou Rawls.
Lady Love. Yeah, Mike, who normally is here, he's interviewing Cliff Richard.
Yes, I heard it.
Yes.
He couldn't come up here. Are they going to use that interview over two programmes or three?
Oh, maybe even get 3. We're doing another one called The Big L Years, which will be all Cliff's music in the 60s, 64 to 67, because he had 12 songs out in those years, so we're going to do a special Cliff feature.
No, and there's going to be more songs out. But
yeah, but he's going to try and talk about the influence that Big L had on his career, which we'll try and put out Christmas Day probably, which should be good.
So he's down there talking about that. Cliff, of course, was on the last hour of Radio London and the first hour.
Yeah,
if you remember.
Yeah.
So you know he was quite he was there all the way through. So that was good. So yeah. There's 2 studios here. This is obviously the main one. I'll show you in a moment the other, the smaller studio for production and also for the news. Go around that.
No.
Just a porthole, so. But that one actually does see through to the. You can see the newsreader. When they're in there, you can see the newsreader in there, so you know he's ready to go. You know. Yeah. And they do open as well. They actually open up. You can open the portholes. Get a few emails this morning?
Yeah, quite a few. That story about Tony Meehan dying is...
what did he die from?
He had a fall at home.
Oh, yeah.
He's 62. Yeah.
That's not very good.
No.
Is that how there?
Yep.
So did you do a chart from
65 to 66.
We've been doing the Veronica charts here as well, Hans.
Okay,
you know?
very good.
Charts, because we do the Radio London ones, we've got some Veronica charts here as
You know,
well.
there's now a book out, which has all the original printed charts.
Really?
All of them? Has he got all of them?
Yeah, all of them.
1965 to 74.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Including the tipperary.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
It's a cooperation from several people.
Right.
Yeah. That's Lou Rawls, back to 1977 on the Big L. That one, Lady Love. Right, it's 5 minutes to now to 1 o'clock. I want to try and squeeze 2 more in before I go, so I'm going to have a little go, see what I can do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and defy the laws of physics here, I think. Here's the new Madonna.
That'll be your last one, I think.
Well, I want to finish with a song from Tony Meehan that's been requested. It's an instrumental, so I can fade it. So it's just a song of Mexico. It's not a great song, but do you remember it? Yeah, it was a top 40 hit in '64.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. 64, was it?
It was recorded in '63, but it got to number 39 in '64, I think.
Oh, we've done your homework.
Well,
Well, the phrasing on it's a bit wow on that track, isn't it?
oh yeah.
Something else than kills being repaired in the MP turntable. I suppose it'll go in there, won't it, Ray?
Yeah,
Probably after Christmas or before.
Yeah, probably will.
You know.
Well, actually, it might even get repaired today.
Oh, right.
Les has had to put a load of
new parts.
capacitors have gone, so he's got to get about 7 or 8 of them
It's the
today.
same sort of turntable that was on the Amiibo, you know, the big EMT, big saw.
It's a very nice compact studio.
Yeah, it's good.
It's air conditioned.
I think the format here is very similar to Teen Hall by playing a large playlist of music from the 60s to today. And I think they do that for Teen Gold, don't they? This is Charlie Davey. This is Hans.
Hi, Charlie.
And Rob.
Got something lined up for me?
Darkness?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
What is in there? Is that the goodies
All
from
the goodies
America?
from California. There's coffee, there's chocolate, there's...
Some listener sends a box of American candy,
Mm.
chocolate bars, and as you can see, all
Still the same.
things I've never heard of. They're not European, so these are all American.
Gonna overrun.
I've never heard of them.
You can try and squeeze two in. This was 5 minutes long.
I know. I might have to fade it.
I think you have
Yeah.
to send yourself a memo there.
No, I'll fade it.
Coffee? What's that?
Coffee beans.
That's the new Madonna, and that is called Hung Up, right here at the heart and soul of rock and roll from the UK. Big L Radio London, Sky Channel 940, and of course the World Wide Web at bigl.co.uk. Well, I'm out of here. Now I'm going to play you with one more track before I go. This has been requested by Tony in Boston. It is music from Jet Harris and Tony Meehan, a track that was recorded back in 1964 called Song of Mexico. And of course you may have heard the sad news today that Tony Meehan, drummer with the Shadows, and Jet Harris and Tony Meehan put out an album back in the 1960s, actually died yesterday. So now Mike is in London today interviewing Sir Cliff Richard, and there will be a comment from Sir Cliff on Mike's show tomorrow. That'll be between the hours of 9 and 1. But that's it from me. The Charlie Show is coming up next. Have a great day. I'll be back with you, I think, at the weekend. Have a great day.
Unless you give anyone else the cold.
What's that?
Unless you give anyone else the cold, you give Opal.
Yeah, that was
Friday.
really.
She hasn't got it, has she?
She
I
got a funny
peaked on
voice.
Friday. That's why I didn't come in Friday.
Oh,
I kept out of here Friday.
oh.
That's where surgical masks, I think.
Everybody's been
Flu.
coughing. Opperman's been sneezing and coughing.
I had a sore throat about a month back, didn't I? But
Well,
that was
there you
just
are
typical,
then.
but that wasn't really a cold.
Weather.
Make it up as we go along.
Have you been to Radio Frinton-on-Sea yet? You'll see
Yes, you can see it already on Martin side.
Oh, yeah.
There's a new
Radio Frinton-on-Sea.
LV5,
you can see.
yeah.
Been there, done that, took a bag.
There's a complete story about it. Went together with Martin.
And Big L time is now 1 minute past 1 o'clock. Well, the weather forecast doesn't look that great. Got a few sunny spells here in Frinton at the moment. It's going to be cold. Temperatures today around 5 degrees centigrade, 41 Fahrenheit. Going to be cloudy with a few sunny intervals. Tonight, dry with clear spells and southwesterly winds with temperatures falling to -4 degrees centigrade, which is 25 degrees Fahrenheit. The outlook for Wednesday, icy.
I hear track 8's good on this, Ray.
Oh, yes, I got asked to play it this morning and I wouldn't play it.
Grandma got Running By Reindeer.
Yes.
Oh, I know that.
It's novelty Christmas songs.
I wouldn't play it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think we're playing these Christmas songs too early, to be honest with you, so... I don't know.
We can go Christmas Mental from the 1st of December.
Who's that? Is that yours?
That's mine.
That's Mike's.
That's his as well.
Yeah, that's mine. That's all
Show you the
mine.
next studio, guys. While Charlie
Okay.
gets into his... All the news comes from, and where we do the production for commercials. I've only read the news once, so I can't remember how it all works now. But if I remember, well, this is wide through. Put my glasses on, I could see it, couldn't I?
We have all the same problem.
Yeah, we all have the same problem now, don't we? No, it didn't work. I don't know why. This is not. Try that. No. Yes, there we go. We have sound. No cart machines, of course. All done off the computer screen, touch screen. Yeah, and the news stories that Chris reads. Radio London has its own news correspondence, which we have to pay to have from the news agency. You've probably heard them on the air.
Yep.
They're talking about.
A suicide bomber attacked a police checkpoint in the port city of Chittagong,
It's all
killing
30
two
seconds.
officers.
We've got
Second
they're
device was
different. Look,
reportedly
you see,
fired inside a
they've
court
got all the
library in
times.
Gazipur, north of the capital Dhaka.
You've got the countdown on the screen, so you can see how long you have to go before.
What the last
All
words are,
finishes, yeah. Yeah.
What's the
In
difference?
recent months, Bangladesh has been hit by a wave of
course,
bombings
all would have
that
been on
targeted
cart
judges,
machines in the
journalists and
past.
politicians. Earlier this month, 2 judges were killed in a bomb attack as they travelled to court in the south of the country. Suzanne Chislett, Big L Radio London News.
And it always finished with Big Al Radio News.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, eh? Okay.
Yeah, the next news will be in
It's
1
very
hour's
easy to-
time.
yeah.
This is Chris Hopperman reporting.
Yep.
Very similar to the way they did it in the 60s. We were going to have news on a Sunday, but it's never happened for various reasons. And the Sunday news was going to be done in the 60s style.
Okay.
Oh,
The
yeah.
old bleeps, the
That's-
fact that, and the original way it was going to be done. But it's never never come about. I think because number one, we don't have a budget to pay for a news reader
I see.
to be sitting here, you know, because news is very expensive to produce, really. So that's where it all comes from, anyway.
Hooray, it's the Charlie Show, live till 5.
It's not like the like before, just here in Essex.
No, they're from Birmingham,
Okay.
in the centre of England, and they've known about. Well, one of the guys has been a friend of Ray for some years, and was actually involved with him with Laser in the 80s. Very much in the background. He wasn't a main character, but he wanted to get back into radio again. He is a very successful millionaire with many businesses all over the world, in Hong Kong, in Mexico, the United States, and in the UK. So he's now part of the station. There's 4 directors. He's one of them. He is the main director now because he, I think, has put the most money in, and they are committed to run the station for probably 3 years to see how it all shapes up and whether it will work or not, because we still don't know. Of course, the main problem is losing the AM was the main problem. But they are still talking with Rude to come to a successful conclusion.
Yes.
At the moment, Radio London, I think, are trying to buy the facility from Root. But I'm not too sure exactly where they are with that, but they are hoping that it can be back on before Christmas.
On the same frequency.
On the same frequency.
But
From the same-
all the problems with Nozema will be solved then by then.
Well, no, Zima are happy to go ahead with everything. They're pleased with. They don't have a problem. Because remember, you've got three people in the picture of Nozema, Quality Radio, and of course the environmental people as well. The environmental people in Nozema are okay. That's all been done. It's just now Quality Radio, which needs to be an agreement needs to be reached with them, because like the agreement that Ray signed originally is not what they want to do now. The people who now run this station don't want that agreement.
Everyone you
We're the three guys who run the company. Ray asked me to come in to help developed the promotional side of the station to find opportunities to create awareness campaigns for listeners, so people knew the station was there, because not when it was on AM in the summer, nobody knew it was there, because you just can't expect today in today's radio for people to tune down the dial. They don't do that anymore. We do,
No, yeah,
because we're
that's
from a
right.
generation where we had to do that, but people don't do that now. So we're actually developing at the moment a campaign with the One Railway system, which covers all of Eastern England, and they've signed a deal with us here.
That's the one which was on the press report on the
Yeah,
site.
that was signed. That's the deal I found for the station.
Okay, good.
And we're putting posters probably as big as this wall, this wide and that tall, of Mike Reed, because he's the most famous face, with all the details of how to listen to the station.
Okay.
We're holding that
On
back,
billboards.
yeah, on railway stations,
Yes.
hundreds and hundreds of them all over the east of England. So that will hope to give us a good awareness, because obviously during a period of a week, you know, many millions of people travel through the stations.
Yeah.
So according to the way you work it out on a computer, it gives you a big awareness for that. So we're about to do that. We're also about in the new year to do the double-decker buses that are in the Colchester, Norwich, Ipswich. Will be carrying complete wraparound posters. The poster that you've seen, those boards with Mike's face on them, and there'll probably be 2 buses in each city going around for probably 2 months at a time, again, so people will know the station is there. And that's being done with a company called Arriva, who are the main
It's the same house.
Yeah.
The biggest company.
biggest company in the world, I think. So we're doing that with them. We're doing a broadcast, all being well, from a ship in January for 2 weeks on board a ship called the NV Hatherley, which is 100 feet. She looks like a Janine. To look at, she looks like the Janine. Not as big as the Ross Revenge, different shape. She looks like the Janine. She's a corporate entertainment vessel, and she's owned by Pindar, who are one of the world's leading the big yachts that race around the world. They are a sponsor of people like Helen MacArthur, who went around the world. They're one of her sponsors. Well, they're sponsoring Radio London to be at the International Boat Show in London, and everything will come from that ship. We're putting a studio on board in
Heavenly. Heavenly.
Hatherley.
Heavenly.
Hatherley. It's called the Hatherley. I'll show you a picture of her later. The Hatherley, and we haven't signed the deal yet because we're still looking for sponsorship to cover the 2 weeks we're going to be down there. But we'll be having 24 hours a day broadcasting from that ship, and we've got a provisional agreement with that company to put the ship for 2 months off the seafront here. But because of the size of the ship, it has to be 3 miles away because it's too big to sit close to the coast. Like the previous one we had, the Yeoman Road, was flat bottom, so we could bring that very close. The Hatherley can't; she has to go a bit further out. So during June, July, August, she should be sitting out there, and we're going to put a false aerial mast on it to make it look like a radio ship. But of course, it will only be a little dish on the bridge, sending the program into here, and then out on the system, you know, on Sky and whatever. So we're working on that at the moment. Advertising is very slow, but we have some commercials starting on the 1st of December. I think there's 4 altogether from national companies, which we've managed to find. But we are going from January into Radar. You've probably heard of Radar, which is the UK's audience survey, which every BBC, every commercial station goes into that. So when we go into that, that'll run for 3 months, and in April we hope we will have a good figure that's marketable, that is useful to us. And when we've got that figure, we will then be able to produce the revenue impacts, you know, financially, how much we need to bring in really to cover all the costs. And we should do that if we get a good Radar figure. On Sky, there's at the moment, we had a dipstick survey done by Radar in September, and that gave us a figure of 156,000 people were listening to Big L in one way or another, whether that was AM, the internet, or Sky.
Per day or a week?
That was a weekly figure. 15% of those people were listening on the internet. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
internet listeners now. I don't listen to radio on the internet very much. I still like a radio. But, I don't ever listen to it on Sky, but we have to at the moment to
Now, for
monitor.
us, it's better to listen to some station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd rather listen to this than anything else that was on the air in the UK.
And the thing in Holland is that 96% of Holland is cable,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
we have far much lesser satellite dishes.
Well, my favourite station in Holland, it's gone now, was 192,
Oh yeah.
which we could
Yeah.
just hear here on the coast, which was I thought was great because it was
Yeah.
reminded me of Veronica in the 60s. You know,
You have
when I
listened
used to
already to
listen.
Mi Amigo?
I haven't listened to Mi Amigo. I suppose is that good?
Well,
Sometimes.
it's not mine kind
Yeah,
of music.
no.
Or it was also not in the 70s, but
No.
it's making it very near to Mi Amigo then.
But I thought the 192 programmes were very, should we say, authentic. They sounded like Veronica probably did when Eddie Becker was there,
Yeah.
because that's the period I remember. Sort of Robbie Dale period
Yeah,
when
68 to
after
70.
Caroline had gone,
Yeah.
of course everybody here listened to Veronica, and that's the period I remember the best because that was the only station left, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we had to listen to Veronica. So no, I did like that station, but Radio London is probably the nearest sort of connection to a good music station we probably have in Britain now. I think really there's nothing quite as, shall we say, playing as much music from such a wide area. Now we've had a lot of meetings with the advertising agencies in London. They're listening online as they do in their offices, and we've had very positive results back from them.
Good.
In fact, we have a campaign starting in December from one of the agencies, who they shouldn't really buy the airtime because we don't have radar, but they like the station. They're going to do it anyway and see how it goes. So the real, from my point of view, from a marketing point of view, which is what my job here is to create that, I think the chances of this succeeding, especially with the AM back on, are probably quite high, particularly because of the backers who are able to finance the station for 18 months to 2 years without having to worry about losing all the money, because they know this is going to happen.
And then you must be on 20 kilowatts power.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was on, but in the final week
Yeah.
when it was on, I know
Yes.
that they must have increased
A quarter of an hour. It was on full power
Yeah,
just before closing down.
yeah, it was very strong because
Yes.
a friend of mine, Chris in Cambridge, could hear it for the first time on his radio with no aerials.
Okay.
Just on his Grundig radio, which before he had to have a loop aerial.
Ja, maar als je terugkijkt.
When are they going to be broadcasting from the light ship then? Will they ever do
Just
that?
go to Martin's site,
It's all on
click
there.
on Hans Knot,
Yeah.
read the story. It's in Dutch, but you know.
I'll read it.
Yeah.
I can understand quite
Yes.
a lot of Dutch.
My
Testing equipment and various units that provide the service down to London to create the audio.
Very well.
And a computer logging the programming. We have to do that by law, of course.
Yeah.
I suppose
Same as in Holland.
well.
Yes.
I still the tapes are going from cable on.
Are you?
It's
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
lock
yeah.
tapes, huh?
Cable one station, yeah, I remember that.
It's already on. 2 decades ago.
Yes, it was. The 80s, wasn't it? I think one or two of the guys from Monique came from Cable One, I think. Was they not?
Fritz Koning. And
Colin Peters, was he there? Was he?
Colin Peters too.
Yeah.
More.
I remember that.
Rob Harold.
Yeah, they were on board.
He's now living in Cambodia. Running a news service for the African, as well as some Belgian newspapers. Running a restaurant. Training people
related to you.
learning to.
That's good. Let me show you some of the options. This is the doing things and so on. By order, they were
Yeah. Or Frinton.
in the 60s, the old Frinton, yeah. Obviously not that close together, but that was the way they were. Yeah. Big down in the middle. Yeah, local.
But it will be a private one, of course. But
Yeah, yeah.
the range is to get as much more people.
Well, a lot of them have reappeared now, haven't they? A lot of the guys waste from that station to come out again. So, kitchen, etc., etc.
How is his father coming?
He's okay,
Yes?
but they still haven't repaired the front of the, because, to be honest, in this area, this happens before to other people. There's always young kids, I suppose it's the same in every society now. They do things to old people, you know, and there's been incidents similar, and a lot of old people living here, and people like to disturb them and upset them.
Original painting from the Mi Amigo.
Oh,
In the first week, I took it on board.
Did you?
That's a second.
Yeah. So that was put in here as well. That's quite a good painting.